Okay, welcome to Ask the Retired CIA Guy. It's 29 March, 2025. Spring has sprung. Here in Northern Virginia, we've got buds on the trees. Some of the cherry blossoms are coming out, and maybe in DC. And Dogwoods, the neighborhood looks good. It's going to be a nice spring. It's warm outside. Pretty soon, I'll be doing hydroponics out on the deck. But what I want to talk about today, Saturday, the 29th of March, 2025, is this whole brouhaha about um, classified material on some goofy telephone app called Signal. The world doesn't even realize that Signal is the name of the Nazi magazine that they handed out to the troops during World War II to boost morale. It was the Nazi equivalent of Stars and Stripes and was called Signal. Why that company used Signal for their telephone app name, I have no idea. I guess they don't know anything about history. Anyway, classified. This is an abused term and it's hugely misunderstood. Okay. Data is data, and if it's sensitive, it's sensitive. If you don't want your enemies to read it, then it's sensitive as hell. That's about the biggest and best summary you can have. Classified. I don't care what it is. It's not classified unless it's got either confidential, secret, or top secret written on the top and bottom of the page. Okay. Now I realize not everything is written down on a piece of paper, but that's the rules. That's it. Confidential, secret, top secret. Real world. Everything, not everything. The most sensitive things that the State Department does are confidential. Most everything State Department does is not even confidential. It's just sensitive. They don't want people who tell the State Department Foreign Service officers things don't want that to be out on the internet. It's embarrassing. It could even get them in trouble. State Department officers collect a lot of intelligence. A lot of people don't realize that they are the eyes and ears of the U.S. president overseas. The ambassador is the U.S. president's personal representative overseas. He's God overseas. The ambassador in a given country has total authority over any U.S. government personnel in his country. You got to ask permission from him through channels to even enter his country. Them's the rules. Okay. So let's talk about State Department. Most everything they do is either unclassified or just, don't show it to anybody or confidential. They don't really do anything that's secret or certainly not top secret. Okay. Secret. Um, when I joined CIA in 1984, they do a lot of training about security right away. First week or two, that's all they tell you. Teach you how to open up a safe. The safes have combination locks. They teach you how to store material. When you're at headquarters in Northern Virginia, outside of McLean, Virginia, there is no place called Langley. Langley is an area of Northern Virginia. The only thing Langley in Northern Virginia is Langley High School. Okay, that's it. One of my wife's best girlfriends, her son played center for Langley High School football. Okay, there's no town called Langley. There's nothing called Langley. Nobody in the CIA talks about Langley. That's not where it is. It's just outside of the city limits of McLean, Virginia, which is a real town. Okay, very small town, suburb of Northern Virginia. It's near Tyson's Corner. It's on Route 123. It's very close to the Potomac River. And if you go down 123, it's also called Chain Bridge Road. And it's called Chain Bridge Road for a reason. If you keep going down Route 123, past McLean, past the CIA headquarters building, you end up at a bridge that is held up by chains, thus the name. And that goes into Georgetown, which is the hoity-toity restaurant-filled, nightclub-filled part of Washington, D.C. Okay. At headquarters, we were taught about classifications. Again, there's only confidential, there's only secret, there's only top secret, nothing else. Okay. Um, Everything that we wrote in the way of day-to-day traffic, I'm sending a cable overseas to a station overseas, it's going to be secret. Okay. It's secret because of sources and methods and such. Okay. How do you define secret? Secret is material that would cause serious damage to national security if it was publicly available. That's the criteria. Confidential material would cause damage, quote unquote, or be prejudicial to national security if publicly available. That's the criteria. Okay, we everything I wrote was secret because sources and methods. Okay, we were talking about CIA operations. That's methods. Sources, of course, were almost always in cables we wrote. The source's identity was disguised in various ways. You don't write down, people's true names in CIA cable traffic. That never happens. The people that know the true names of reporting assets are people that have control of files that are very, very securely kept. Nobody cares what the true identity of an asset is. We know the asset by other methods, and we use those methods in cable traffic. But it's sources and methods, so it's secret. Okay, what is top secret? Top secret is technically highest level of classified information, um, would cause exceptionally grave damage to national security. Okay, okay. When they had the DCI and they had the DNI and they had the NSA guy, a general with 19 stars on his epaulets, when they had them in Congress and they were being beat up by the senators. Okay, the NSA guy kept talking about the level of security, the level of classification of material from NSA. Nobody understood what he was talking about. Okay, because he was talking about the platforms that collect the intelligence for NSA. These are giant satellites in outer space. Okay, extremely high tech, most sophisticated machines ever built by mankind. Okay, they're orbiting in outer space and they can hear an ant fart. Okay, in terms of radio frequency collection, they can hear a cell phone. They can hear data being transmitted across distances by microwave towers. They can pick it all up. Okay, and they send it all down to Fort Meade in Southern Virginia, and they tear it all apart, unwind it, untangle it, and translate it, break it if it's a coded message, et cetera, et cetera. That's what NSA does. And everything produced by NSA is top secret because of the platforms that they use. Okay? And that's sources and methods. That's methods. Okay? The method used to collect the RF intelligence or source intelligence is super sexy. And if the world knew about it, how it all worked, it would be really damaging. So it's top secret. Everything NSA produces is top secret. I have read 1,000 NSA cables. Sometimes NSA cables are very, it's not their fault, but they're useless. Somebody unidentified said, we're going to have a wedding. And somebody unidentified number two says, hooray, let's have the wedding. And supposedly somebody thinks wedding means it's going to be a terrorist attack. Okay. They talk about Fanu Lanu. Okay. That's my girlfriend, Fanu Lanu. Fanu Lanu, it's FN, first name unknown, FNU, first name unknown, Lanu, last name unknown. Fanu Lanu is a fictitious person that NSA talks about all the time. First name unknown, last name unknown. It just means the person is unidentified. They don't know who the hell it is. Okay, and that happens a lot in NSA cables because they're just picking all this stuff out of the air. Okay, so if it's got Fanu Lanu in it, then it's top secret. Okay, that's how it works. Everything else is just sensitive, and it can be sensitive as can be, but it's just sensitive. Okay, I'll give you an actual example. Um, Early in my career, I was a technical operations officer, and one of the things I did was I gave case officers which at the time was pretty sexy software they could put on their computers. Actually, it was off of a boot disk, and it encrypted text messages they could write. Okay, what they would do is they would have their meeting, for example, in a hotel room. Let's say a hotel room. The asset, they sit with the asset. They have their asset meeting, and they're collecting the intelligence from the asset. The asset leaves. The case officer's got to stay in the hotel room because it looks goofy if he leaves $150 hotel room in the middle of the night or at 11 p.m. or midnight or whatever. It looks like a couple of homosexuals having an affair. So he stays overnight. Well, what does he do to use his time most productively? Because the most valuable thing the most valuable asset of a case officer is time. Okay, that's because that's limited. There's only 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week. Okay, so what he does is he takes my secure note taking software and he writes up his meeting. Okay, see, case officers do a lot of writing. The greatest compliment a case officer can receive in the CIA is he's a good writer. Okay, not a good recruiter, not a good asset handler, not a good anything else. A good writer, because that's 90% of what a case officer does. If you don't like to write, don't become a case officer in the CIA. Okay, so he writes up his meeting. It may even include intel reports. It may include a whole lot of stuff. Okay, because there's a methodology to document an asset meeting. Okay, he does this all on this secure software that has a very simple editor, and when he finishes, when he closes it, it encrypts it quite well. It's not NSA encryption. But it's super duper double backwards and forwards, and it's pretty good encryption. Okay, good enough for that. It's sensitive. He could be talking about atomic weapons. He could be talking about the most sexy thing you could ever imagine. But until that case officer puts the word secret at the top and the bottom of the document, it's not secret. It's just sensitive. Okay, he takes that disk. When he next morning when he goes to work, he's in the station. He sticks it in the computer. That's his raw text that goes into his formatted intelligence reports, contact reports, whatever he wants to write. Okay. Then he puts the word secret on it. He might put top secret on it. He might put confidential on it. But that's the only three options. Okay. Let's talk about the actual happening with this so-called signal gate. Okay. The DoD is sending texts to a host of people in the high levels of the U.S. government. They all want to see a real-time attack on the Houthis because it's cool. Okay, it's kid stuff. It's kid stuff. It's cool. It's kid stuff. This is going to happen 1,000 times in the next 4 years, and nobody's going to care. But right now, all of these people are green as grass, most of them, and they want to see a real-time, Houthi bombing of bad guy Houthis, terrorists. So they're getting these texts. So they're getting little short texts. They're in chunks. Okay, who's sending the texts? The Department of Defense is sending the texts. Okay. The originator of the intelligence, the originator of the product, is the one who classifies the product. Okay, that's the rules. I'm the originator. I write a cable at headquarters. I'm the one who classifies it because I'm the originator. Okay, I'm identified as the originator in the document. Okay, 500 years from now, somebody can go see a cable that I wrote in 1985. Okay, and that's my name is down there. Okay, so the originator is the one responsible for classifying it. They didn't classify it. They didn't say this is secret, this is top secret, this is confidential. They didn't do it. Okay, therefore it's not classified. Okay, it's just sensitive. Okay, no matter what it talks about. It could talk about how to build a plutonium nuclear weapon, a hydrogen bomb. Doesn't matter. It's just sensitive until you put the word confidential, secret, or top secret at the top. Okay, that's it. That's the rules. Okay, they're sending these texts. They're reading these texts. some goofy, very, very biased against Trump reporter happens to be on the distribution list. He's reading it. He thinks he's got a bomb that he can use to make Trump look bad, make Trump look silly. Okay, makes him look amateurish, makes him look uncoordinated, and they are, because it's brand new. They've only been in office 2 months. Okay, there's a learning curve. Okay, so that's what happened. That's what happened. It's just a bunch of random texts talking about, yeah, the planes are coming. Yeah, the planes have dropped the bombs. Yeah, they think they've killed all the bad guys. Fantastic. Everybody's happy. It's really cool. I'm walking around, with my little iPhone. I got this application called Signal loaded on it. I don't know if it's a modified application. I don't know if it's stock, just something that you can download off the internet. I have no idea. I don't know the level of encryption. Really doesn't matter because it's not classified. Okay, it's just not classified. It is sensitive. It is. Don't share it with Boris Badenoff. Yeah, all that's true. I agree. Okay, I wouldn't walk around with an app called Signal where I can get sensitive information no matter where I am. I mean, I'm sitting on the shitter, or I'm on an airplane flying to Bangkok. It's ridiculous. I don't think that's secure. Okay, there are ways that you can get stuff in a really secure channel that you don't have to walk around with an iPhone. But this is 2025. Everybody wants to have convenience, and so there we are. Okay, I'm sure now because of all this, they're not going to use Signal as much, if at all. But this brouhaha about it's classified is wrong. It is not classified. Okay, just the way it is. You have to understand the system. All this information, all of this intelligence that people collect, analyze, disseminate. There has to be a system to corral the cats. Okay, and this is part of the system: confidential, secret, top secret. Okay, if you want to make it even more sexy, you call it top secret banana cream pie. Okay, top secret banana cream pie is a restricted list. There's 5 people who have clearances to read top secret banana cream pie. Okay, those are they call them specific access code words. you know, in the agency, nobody played around with that kind of stuff. That was very unusual. Nobody cared about that kind of stuff. We in our working environment, everything was classified. We didn't get into all that kind of stuff. I was read into a few projects. Trust me, you don't want to be read into any projects. It's not worth the candle. It's a pain in the ass, and it's just a lot of trouble. And once you've gotten a little experience, you run away from that kind of stuff. You don't want to be involved because it never turns out very good. With the cool code words, you get a lot of congressional oversight. You get a lot of seventh floor oversight, and it's just not worth it. You get some pimple faced kid looking over your shoulder. It's just, trust me, it's not worth it. Anyway, okay, that covers this whole brouhaha that some people are calling Signalgate, which I think is very childish and egregious. But that's the press. They're going to pump that issue as long as they can until something else comes along, and then nobody's going to talk about it anymore. They want Hegseth to resign. That will not happen. That guy is not going to resign for anything until Donald Trump kicks him in the ass and says, "Get out of my White House." He's in like Flint. Okay, he's fine. And he's doing PT with the soldiers every morning. I mean, the guy is doing things right. Okay. And he's going to make morale in the military go up 1,000% from where it was under brain dead Biden. So God bless America. Things are looking good. Okay. I got 10 minutes. Let's talk about Greenland. Okay. Everybody thinks that Donald Trump wants to invade Greenland with the 82nd Airborne Division and take it over. Okay. Greenland is up in the Arctic Circle next to Iceland. It's between Canada and Europe, very northern Europe, like Scotland, like Norway, and It's been there for a long time. It's one of the largest islands in the world, and it's pretty much covered with ice. Okay, yeah, it has natural resources. Who knows what it's got? Nobody knows because there's no infrastructure, there's no roads. You can't get to the coldest parts of it because it's just an incredibly difficult environment to do anything in, much less to do mining or oil drilling or anything like that. It's just not worth it. The United States is sitting on a pool of oil and natural gas in places that are nice to live in, like Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana. They don't need to go to Greenland. Okay. Talking about Greenland, it's one of the biggest islands in the world. Um, the natural resources are almost um, beyond any ability to go and exploit. It's the same story with Africa. Everybody talks about the unlimited resources of Africa, and they've been talking about that for 70 years, and nobody has gone into the Zaire or the Congo or any of those countries and exploited all those incredible mineral resources because there's no infrastructure, there's no railroads, there's no nothing. You can't get it out, and nobody's gonna send train crews there. They're all gonna die of mosquito borne diseases and or be carried off by the locals. And it's just ridiculous. You might as well just it's a million times easier to go to Nevada or Utah or the middle of Australia than it is to go to Africa. Same thing with Greenland. It's just not. The resources are there allegedly. Nobody knows. It's just they're not exploitable economically. They're not economically exploitable. That's just the bottom line. The reason that Trump is interested in Greenland has nothing to do with natural resources. It has to do with the fact that the Arctic ocean ice is thinner and thinner every summer. That means eventually, within the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, oil tankers will be able to go from the east coast of the United States past Greenland, between Greenland and Iceland, and go through the Arctic Ocean, down through the Bering Strait, between Alaska and Russia, and drop off the oil or natural gas, liquid natural gas, uh, at Japan, South Korea, you name it, China, Taiwan. You know, we can provide cheap energy from the United States to our allies, save them a bundle of expense for energy. We can do the same thing with our friends in Northern Europe, going the same way. Um, it's really going to open up everything. It's the fabled Northwest Passage realized 300 years later. We're basically going over Canada to Asia. Uh, that same high latitude transport um, to Europe. Eventually, we may be able to cut the shipping costs in half. This is vastly more economical than going all the way down to the Panama Canal, going through the Panama Canal, all the way back up to Japan, South Korea. Northwest Passage is the way to go, and that is why Trump is interested in Greenland. No other reason. Has nothing to do with natural resources. Has nothing to do with any of that stuff. Um, this is going to open up an incredible opportunity for export of energy around the world. Russia, China would love to sit there on that shipping route and be able to cut it off at will. That's what Trump's worried about. That's why he wants Greenland to be closer to the United States politically, militarily, economically. Denmark, Denmark, if Denmark had any sense, they would join up with Trump and cut some kind of a deal, the art of the deal, the master of the deal. And Denmark would be probably the wealthiest country in Europe. They could match Switzerland. They could match any of the prosperous countries of Europe. Right now, their economy is the size of Colorado. I mean, it's silliness. They've got a population that's less than New Jersey. I mean, it's just silliness. Um, they're fine people, fine culture. The Danes used to be a big deal 300, 400 years ago. Most of the Vikings came from what is today Denmark and populated Norway and Sweden and Normandy, Western France. They even held Sicily, Italy for many, many, many decades. Um, the Danes left their mark, but they haven't been a player in the world scene for 300 years. Um, so that's why Trump wants Greenland, so that he can protect those shipping lanes that are going to be sending liquid natural gas, uh, petroleum products to our allies in Asia and to our allies in Northern Europe. One LNG tanker with the big bulbous round spherical high pressure tanks holding cold liquid natural gas. One of those tankers can heat every home in Germany for a day. That means if you had a conga line during the wintertime of those ships going to Germany, maybe a dozen, something like that. I don't know what the shipping time is, but it'll be less than it used to be if you open up the Arctic Sea, and we can give Germany virtually cut the price of natural gas in by down to a quarter or less. This will help the German people. This will help the German economy. Open up all kinds of possibilities. So that's Greenland. Okay, we talked about classified, what's not classified. The short version is if it doesn't have the word confidential, secret, or top secret on it, it's not classified. Okay, it's sensitive. It can be sensitive as hell. Can be nuclear weapons plans, but if it doesn't have those words on it, it's not classified. Okay, and the other key point to take away is that the entity, the person, the element that creates the material is the originator of the material. Those are the people that have the right and the responsibility to classify the material. Okay? If they choose not to classify it, it's not classified. It's just the way the system works. There's an incomprehensible amount of sensitive material that flows through the U.S. government every millisecond. There's a system in place to manage it, and that's the system. Don't change it. Don't try to fix it. Leave it alone. It works fine. Okay. Please, if anybody has any questions, send me questions. I'll answer them best I can. No sources and methods. I don't know any sources. I've been retired for 11 years. I don't know anything classified because I have bad memory and I can't remember what all those documents said 11 years down the pike. Um, I can tell you war stories. Names and dates and places will be changed to protect the innocent and to protect me most of all. But the essence of the war story of the anecdote will be a lesson in tradecraft, and it will give you insights that you don't have. I will close on one subject that has yet to make its way into any kind of prominence in the cycle is the release of the JFK tapes, not tapes, files, quote unquote files. I don't know what form they take. I don't know if they're pieces of paper. I don't know what they are. The only thing I heard was that maybe the CIA was running Lee Harvey Oswald as a reporting source. I doubt it. Okay. Now, I joined in 1983. Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy at the end of 1963. So we're talking 20 years, close to. Um, CIA wasn't is not my CIA of 1984 was not the same as the CIA of late 1963. Um, Running, recruiting Americans is not something that my CIA of 1984 did very much. It was we didn't really recruit Americans. You don't recruit Americans; they're Americans. You may work with them and they're fully aware that you're CIA. And in order to get access to a reporting source or insights on how best to recruit a target that you're targeting, that kind of thing. But recruiting them is rare, and it always 1,000,000% of the time involves the FBI sitting right next to you, falling asleep while you work with the American citizen or the American person. If it's a green card holder, they're considered an American person, and they're treated the same way as an American citizen by CIA. So I doubt Lee Harvey Oswald was recruited by CIA. I do know for a fact that up until recently, and maybe even now, we debrief people that emigrate from denied area countries, the Soviet bloc, the Warsaw Pact. Those were all denied area countries until the wall fell at the end of the 1980s, early 1990s. And we used to debrief people like that because it was very difficult to gather any kind of intelligence on what was happening inside the Soviet bloc. Um, uh, Lee Harvey Oswald had defected to Russia, had worked in Russia, so he was, without a doubt, he was debriefed by the FBI. He may have been debriefed by the FBI with a CIA officer. Highly doubtful that Lee Harvey Oswald was recruited as a source. I don't see what he would have offered, and the fact that he was such a uh, um, um, unstable personality makes it very unlikely. We don't recruit people who are unstable because they produce unreliable intelligence. Okay, there's no point in a case officer spinning his wheels, working an asset, collecting intelligence from an asset, and then having the analysts throw it in the trash can because they know the source was a Looney Tune. Okay, so you just don't, it's not worth the candle. So that's my comment on JFK. More may come out. I might be completely wrong. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. The agency of 1963 was different from 1984 when I joined, of course, but not that much different. Okay, ask a retired CIA guy. Take advantage of it. 29 March 2025, beginning of spring. Peace and love out.